In this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, Obito gains the power of the gods when he becomes the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. Dude just had a big Godzilla monster sucked into him like jello. Nothing to see here, folks. Keep moving. It's amazing how that Shinobi Alliance can take everything in stride, especially when they have this massive, monstrous god right before them, which suddenly transforms into an even tinier, more pissed-off god with a lot of power. The power to literally destroy barriers, destroy immortal Hokage, and frankly, just look really awesome doing it. There were some things about this episode that I really liked. I loved when they actually showed Obito transforming into the Ten Tails, and he had all of those scales around his body which suddenly exploded. In the manga version, that really didn't look all that impressive to me. Here, it looked great. This was still not a perfect episode. The animation and the artwork leaves a lot to be desired. There were some scenes that looked really cool, there were some scenes which looked like a lot of crap. But still, this was an entertaining episode because we finally got to see Obito going crazy with his brand new Jinchuriki powers. What is interesting is that even though Obito is the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails, he himself has no control. It's actually the Ten Tails itself which has taken over his body and is continuing to run a train over the entire Shinobi Alliance. And he makes short work of all of the Hokage. He literally cuts most of them in half and even removes a few arms. And he does so with this weird ability, which the third Hokage explains is very similar to what Inoki does, where he has the weird cube abilities, the dust particles, except that Obito's are in liquid form, and they take the form of these black chakra balls, which hang out right behind his hands, and he can manipulate them into sharp weapons and even as shields. And there's a lot of scenes in the episode where he takes out the Hokages with those, and he nearly kills both Naruto and Sasuke in what is probably one of the more interesting scenes. And for people who have been reading the manga version, this scene is actually very important and will give us a better understanding of what's going to be happening later on in the series. So, Sasuke decides to just save Naruto out of nowhere, who's about to be killed by Obito, and they bring up that old picture of him, Kakashi, Sakura, and then they do this thing where they show Naruto's picture get cut in half, and Sasuke says that he will be the one to sever the ties from the past. Clearly, he wants to fight against Naruto. He's the one who wants to take him out. If anybody's gonna kill that knuckle-headed ninja, it's gonna be me. You thought it was Sasuke, but it was me! Dio! Wouldn't that be a great twist? Since the Ten Tails' power is so massive, it's actually causing Obito's body to become completely unstable. And there's a scene where he literally starts to like transform into this weird like Orochimaru snake, and then he starts to just blow up and get bloated, kind of like Tetsuo from Akira. It's literally the same thing where it's like completely enveloping his body. So Minato figures he's gonna have to do something to stop him at this point. He wants to destroy his former student, and this is his only opportunity, with an attack that has a really long and obnoxious name. I'm guessing that's just the running joke with Minato. He comes up with really complex techniques that have really complex names. But what they do here is they show this scene where Obito is sort of hanging out in this weird world where he's being held together by the tendrils of the Ten Tails, and it's literally ripping him apart. And they're using this metaphor where they show the picture of Obito as well. There's two scenes this week which involve picture metaphors, but basically it's showing all of his friends and pieces of the picture being ripped away, and as they're being ripped away, so are parts of his body. This is a scene that in the manga version, you were able to dwell on a little bit more, because since it's simply just an image in the book, you can look at it and analyze it a lot more. The scene where Obito's face is ripped in half happens real quick, and you barely even get a chance to look at it unless you freeze frame the image. It's very creepy, very nightmarish, but it all leads to the scene where finally Obito regains his consciousness and takes control of the Ten Tails, getting ready to kick some ass. And even has a brand new look, he's got this awesome new coat, he has this weird brand new staff weapon, and even has horns on his head, and he's able to take off Minato's arm, and basically just let everybody know, y'all about to get y'all shit fucked up. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? It was pretty good. It wasn't a perfect episode, and that all has to do with that animation and artwork this week. There were just some scenes where people just looked fugly. I'm sorry. There is just no excuses for sometimes when they screw things up. But this was still an exciting episode that featured Obito going completely batshit crazy. They're also getting ready to set up the battle between Hashirama and Madara, which is really exciting and arguably more exciting than what's going on with Obito right now. That's not to say that Obito is the Ten Tails Jinchuriki isn't awesome. I love it. But otherwise, there's also a lot of little hints in this episode, like the whole thing with Naruto and Sasuke, thing with Obito gaining his consciousness back. Just, there's a lot of little details, and they went through a number of chapters this week, which I will commend them for. I just wish it could have looked a little better doing it. I really liked seeing Obito's powers this week. They were very destructive, and you could see why everybody fears him so much. I especially love the scene at the beginning where he rips up the barrier with the 10 arms which erupt from the spikes on his back. Not only that, but I think my favorite scene really is just the one at the very end where, you know, he's being ripped to pieces and then he finally comes back together and regains his consciousness, because this was basically just an appetizer for the real battle which is getting ready to start. Next week's animation looks kind of like it's on par with this one. Hopefully they'll do a little bit more with it, because from this point on in the series, there's mostly just fighting, so I'd really like them to focus on that and try to make it look as good as possible. Otherwise, this episode was still really exciting, especially if you've been following the series, and if you don't read the manga version, this had to be really surprising just to see all this stuff. So, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. Not a perfect episode, but still one that is incredibly entertaining, well above average, and one that you should definitely check out if you're a big fan of the Naruto anime series. Speaking of which, me and Christian finally just released our review of the 5th Naruto movie, Naruto Shippuden Bonds. It's the one where Naruto and Sasuke team up after a long period of time. If you guys want to check that out, here are thoughts about it. Make sure and check out the link for that at the very end of the video. Otherwise, I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? What did you think of Obito becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki? And what do you think Madara's trump card is going to be? Make sure, too, if you guys have not already, to subscribe to our channel. I'm sure there's a button hanging out right up here that you can click on. And you can also check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you again for watching. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.
Do you like Amazon.com? I know I do. Corey and I now have an Amazon link in our video description box below. And if you go to it and buy anything through Amazon.com, it will support our channel. So bookmark that link, make it happen, and support our channel without having to do a damn thing.
Another great way you guys can help support our channel is by donating directly through our PayPal link in the description box below. We recommend $2 a month, although this is completely optional. But the best way to go about this is by sneaking into your mom's room and taking $2. This way, she won't even notice. And we won't have to shake you up for all of your lunch money. So guys, that concludes this review today. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.